Hey guys, back with a new video today. I wanted to take some time out to show y'all how to develop your own unique style using the TBP Custom Preset Pack. It's a really simplified, easy way to keep all of your edits clean and consistent, make it even faster than the preset pack already has made it for you. A lot of my friends that I've sent it to and a lot of the people that have already purchased the pack have been telling me about the different tools that they've been using together that I hadn't even done and I hadn't really even thought of. And so it's really cool to see people getting creative with it. And a common complaint about buying presets is that you don't want your images to look just like someone else's, or you don't want it to look just like the person that you bought it from. And the way that I built this preset pack, the reason I left the word custom in there is because it's customizable to your style and what you're looking for and what you really want out of your images instead of what I want. And so it allows you to kind of create your own unique style within that. And it gives you the ability to still stay clean and consistent and quick across all these edits. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to shrink my own face down a little bit here. So I'm going to start with this base image. This is a recent session with Caroline and Q that we did out at the Buffalo River. And I've decided to edit this entire gallery this way that I'm about to show you. And so I kind of created a new preset just for this look that I really loved. It's early fall here in Arkansas, so you're starting to see some of the yellows and the orange tinge on the trees. And it was really fun to play with editing these. So I'm going to start with my experience preset. Instead of connection, which is normally a go-to, but you can already see that this is like really contrasty here on this image. And I didn't want as much of that contrast. I don't want to kill all those shadows and the details in there. So I'm going to go to experience. It's a little bit softer. And I'm just going to add that. And I can already tell that the picture is a little underexposed. So I'm going to bring the exposure up just a tad. And it's also overly warm, but I'm not going to mess with the temperature yet because I'm going to add my cool split toning tool. So this is one of the tools that comes in the preset, TBP Toning 4. And a lot of times in the past, I've avoided split tone on portraits because it can sometimes mess with skin. But I've made these split tonings so faint that it really just adds kind of an overlay and a little bit more of a stylistic choice to the images without affecting the skin tones, because skin tones are king when I'm editing pictures of people. It's still too warm. Even with like a cool split tone, it's still too warm. So I'm going to bring this down quite a bit. Let's see. Bring it all the way down. 6,000, maybe 6,100. I'll leave it at 62. There's a little bit of a green in it too, and that's because of the shadows that I have on the split toning tool. So I'm going to bring the tint up just a tad. And there we go. Now we've got some healthy kind of pink undertone to the skin there and the shadows. And that looks a lot better. Okay, so this is pretty much done. I mean, this image looks great to me. I might even brighten it up just a tad. And so from here, this style, if we like it and we want all our images to look like it, we can go ahead and create our own new preset. So if you've never made your own preset before, which most of you probably have, you can go up to the Develop tab here and just click New Preset. And you're building it out of the settings that you just did. Now, before I do that, I am going to go ahead and add something else here. One of my other tools that I've added in this package is for different levels of grain. So I can turn the grain off, and all of the presets come with a light grain setting. And I'm going to add medium on this. I can go heavy, and I'm going to zoom in just so you can see kind of in the bokeh section here. And you can see how much grainier the heavy is. So there it is with heavy grain. I'm just going to go medium. So I'm going to go with medium grain just to give it a little bit of a texture, a little bit of a feeling, especially since this was an adventurous session outdoors. And now I'm going to call it finished. So I'm going to go up to my Develop tab here, click New Preset. And here's a pro tip that I do on all of my presets and that I've done on these presets that you now have is I uncheck white balance and I uncheck exposure, because I don't want to change the white balance and exposure of every photo every time I click a preset. I want to be able to adjust my white balance and my exposure unique to each photo, because photos that I take indoors at weddings are going to be drastically different from the photos I take outdoors with families and with engagements. And so I just don't want my preset changing that every time, so I have to change it back. I try to get my exposure and my white balance right in camera, which means my preset shouldn't be changing that. So I uncheck those. Everything else is good to go on here though. I usually leave lens corrections on there just because I do the automatic lens corrections. So it makes it easy. So now all we have to do is give our preset a name. So you don't have to do TBP. You're making your own preset, so you can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it Cool Experience because I use experience and the cool split toning, and that'll help me remember what this preset does. So click create, and there it is, popped up over there. So now let me show you how easy it is to use this new preset across a gallery to get quick and consistent results. So this is a very different image. It's in the same place, just facing a different direction. Light's a little bit different, but I really liked this picture. It was just they were just kind of hanging out. I told them to just hang back while I found a new spot to shoot from, and yeah, I liked it. So what I just did while I was talking, I just straightened it a little bit, just with the line of the river and the bluff there. So before I start editing, one thing that I do notice on this picture I want to fix is that this bluff is kind of dark, it's kind of shaded, and the bottom half of the image is a lot brighter. And so I'm going to use a quick gradient tool. This isn't in the pack. This is just something that is already preset on Lightroom. And so I just use the darken the burn tool. And I might bring the highlights down just a little bit on that too. And I'm just going to use this gradient tool to kind of darken the bottom half of this image. So you can see with it off and with it on, it evens it up, just evens the overall histogram, the exposure of the image. So anyway, back to editing though. Besides that little gradient tool, just a single click, Cool Experience, already added this really cool new preset that we just made to the image. But as I'm looking at it, I'm looking at their skin, and I can tell that their skin's a little too blue and maybe even a little bit green. So I'm going to use the same temperature and tint settings that I did on the last image. I think I was at 6,200 and I went up to 4. Yeah, there we go. That fuchsia, that pink kind of added back into their skin, made it really good. And it's got the medium grain on there because that's what I added. If I wanted to, I could go with heavy grain just on this one. I would just click heavy grain. It's not going to change any other settings on the preset, which I love. And let's go with reference and active. And look at how consistent that is. So if I use this preset, just one click, adjusting the exposure and the temperature, and I'm able to get like really consistent results like this across the whole gallery, images with totally different backgrounds and even a little bit different colors, but the skin tones are consistent. Everything else in the picture looks really good together. This is going to be a super cool gallery. And I do have a third picture here that's even more different. So we walked downriver and we actually kind of had a little bit of the side lighting, and the trees behind them where you can see is catching a little bit more of the sun that was diffused by a little bit of clouds there. And so I can go through and go ahead and edit this image too with the same preset. Use Cool Experience. I shouldn't have named it that. That's so dumb. I'm going to bring the temperature down 6,200, same thing I was using on the other ones. I'm going to bring the tint up and see if that's not too much. No, I think that's perfect, because if you'll notice, I'll bring it back down. Her hair was catching a little bit of the green. It was probably just bouncing off of the trees and the grass and everything. And so if I just bring this fuchsia back into the image, even that out. And I do want to bring the exposure up. Now, I'm noticing that the shadows are much harsher here just because of the direction that the light was coming from. And so I am going to adjust the shadows just a bump to 60. And that kind of softened the image overall. There we go. And so that's good. I really didn't change much. White balance, exposure, I bumped up the shadows a little bit. And now we can see how consistent all three of these are across the board. Like, this is going to be a really cool gallery to use this preset across the board. Going to have a look that's pretty unique compared to a lot of my other stuff, but it's still going to flow right into it because I have similar curves and similar toning within all the pictures, and I'm pumped. I'm excited. So this will be a great tool for you guys to know how to use now, to go through and build your own presets, whether you want heavy grain, if you want no grain, if you want to add some of your own split toning, or if you want to change your HSO on your color sliders and things like that, then you can start to build your own presets and really use the custom part of what this pack was trying to do. So if y'all have any questions about this, leave a comment. You can send me a DM, or you can email me if you've bought the preset pack directly from me. If you haven't got the presets yet and you're questioning whether or not it's worth it, I hope that this gives you a little bit of confidence that you're going to be able to still develop your own unique style, and you're not just copying off of someone else, and you're able to do something that's totally uniquely you. So thanks, guys.